For today's edition of Tarot Reviews with Talula, we're going to be reviewing the Ghosts and Spirit Tarot deck by Lisa Hunt. Someone asked me to review this today on my Facebook page because I used it for a daily draw today, and it really is the perfect time of year. This is October 28th, the day that I'm filming this, and so Samhain, Halloween, not very far off, just a few days away, and so these kind of decks are a lot of fun to use this time of year, and I'm hoping to review a few more decks that are kind of darker themed that go really great for, you know, the thinning of the veil and that whole thing that Samhain brings with it. So this is a really fun deck to use this time of year, but it's great to use year-round. And hold on, lost the thought. Need a sip of tea. Let's see. Okay, so this is by Lisa Hunt, published by US Game Systems. This is the box that the deck comes in. It's a really flimsy box, and when I got my order in at the store that I work at, the case was already kind of like dented and a little damaged, which at least, you know, is a little disappointing when you buy something, but it's kind of part of how it goes when you order things. So I would say that, like, I wish the case was a little sturdier and a little more protective of the cards. The cards are a traditional tarot deck size. And I love the backing of these cards. They are so, I think they're really cute. Like, they're not scary at all. They're adorable. They make me smile every time I see them. And they're actually on my, Vincent's saying hello too. They are actually on my kitchen altar right now. So that's a lot of fun. I love the backings to these cards. And this is what some of the, like, what you can see. This is what the border looks like. The cards are labeled for the tarot, you know, traditional tarot for the most part. And then the image. So the image is a nice size for a tarot deck. I like that. It's not overwhelmed by the border and kind of shrunken down too much. So that's a really great positive. One of the things that's not so, super exciting is that it's just a little white book. It's not an actual book. But in this case, you know how I usually say, like, throw away the little white book for the most part, like scan it over and then let it go. This is actually a little white book that's worth keeping around because she talks about, first of all, in the intro, she talks about, like, the fascination with ghosts and the lore that goes into creating the deck. But for each of the tarot cards, she has the divinatory meaning, but then she also has the myth or the folklore or the ghost story that inspired the image on the card itself and the card itself. So, like, there's the Fool and there's, I don't know if I'm going to say it wrong, Leshy. So it talks about the story and the ghost, the spirit that's attached with the tarot card, and I really love that. So this is a little white book worth keeping around and worth reading. And she has that for each of the cards, the minor as well as the major, so that's really nice. Usually, you know, people just focus that attention on the major, so it's nice that she gives the minor that attention as well. She does have a 5-card spread in the back, so you can give that a try if you feel drawn to. I haven't tried that. It looks good. There's a little room for some notes too. Interestingly enough, she did include a bonus card in this deck, and it's nameless, numberless. I'm sorry, guys. Vincent is he's really getting very vocal now. So I like to let him talk as much as he wants to. It's good. This is the nameless card in the deck, so for you to create whatever you want with it. I don't know how I feel about a bonus deck in a bonus card in a tarot deck. I love tarot as the system that it is, and I don't necessarily love kind of changing that system sometimes. I tend to be a little bit of a purist, a little bit, not completely, but when it comes to things like that. And a lot of times in tarot, when I have this extra card, it kind of throws off my flow. So I don't know how I feel about this extra card. And of course, because I don't know how I feel about it, I get the darn card all the time when I use this deck. Isn't that the way it is with tarot? I mean, that's why if you love tarot, because it's just, you can't ignore things with tarot. It just will help you get through to it, no matter what. No avoidance with tarot. So let me show you some of the images that I liked. I drew the tower today for the Facebook page, and it's one of my favorite images of the tower, actually, that I've come across. I really like this image. The colors are really moody and very like blues and like earthy greens, not bright greens, like dulled down earthy greens, like silvers, grays. So it really does get you in that mood of that ghost and spirit mood. I'm sorry, that was 9 of Pentacles. This is the Ace of Wands. I really like this. And there's lots and lots of like little images in this card, little energetic beings hiding. And so you have to really take your time examining this deck. As you can tell, it's not something where you get it. It's like the layers are clear to you immediately. This is a deck you have to spend some time with. It's really why I haven't reviewed it up to this point. Here's 2 of Swords. I really like the sword suit in this deck. Knight of Swords. And I don't have any images that I don't like, so I'm not going to focus on that. I actually like them all. I'm not like obsessed, like absolutely need to use this deck constantly as far as the images go. And I'm not like I can't stand this deck as far as the images go. I really enjoy them. This is a nice tarot deck to work with. This is the Fool. 8 of Swords. Again, I'm really drawn to the sword suit in this deck, and normally I don't really love the sword suit. So that's a really nice change of pace. There's the King of Swords. 3 of Pentacles. 6 of Pentacles. I love this image. Actually, you know, this might be my favorite image in the deck, to be honest with you. Here's the World. I really love this image as well. Judgment. I love the fact that the image for Judgment is typically an image that we would think of for Justice. She kind of mixed it up there. She talks about that in the Little White Book, and I really enjoy that, actually. Here's the 7 of Swords. I just get a really, like, the feeling for the 7 of Swords in this image is pretty visceral and I like that. I appreciate that. Here's the Page of Swords. Again, I just love this image. It's really layered. It feels like you're out in the forest around this time of year, at least in New England, and it's twilight. And everything is moody and spooky, and there's all kinds of possibilities. Here's the Empress. I'm just going to show you a few more. Here's the 3 of Swords. 7 of Wands. So you can see in the Wands you get a little more of a red tone, but it's still, again, a very muted, earthy tone. Here's King of Wands. And, I will show you just 4 more. I'm going to stop myself because I could show you the whole deck. And I know that there's not going to make this go on forever for some of you because I know you guys don't enjoy that. Here's Ace of Pentacles. 10 of Pentacles. And I love that. Like, I get that gnome feeling from the Pentacle suit in this deck, which I enjoy. There's the Queen of Wands. And here is Death. Interestingly enough, interestingly enough, in this deck, she changed the name of one of the cards in the Major Arcana, only one of them, and that's the Devil. She changed it to Chains, which I was a little disappointed about. I was looking forward to a really good Devil in this deck, but I mean, you guys know that I love the Devil card anyhow in tarot. So I was a little disappointed about that. So let me talk now about my experience with working with the deck. I love all of the detail that she puts into the images, and on occasion I find that all of the layering can actually at times be a little bit distracting in a way that, like, say, the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud, where there's all of that layering in the images, is not distracting to me. So I don't know why it is with this deck, but I do find that to be a little bit distracting at times. This is one of those decks that I really enjoy working with. I'm not in love with this deck, but I, for some reason, use it. And I am at times quite confused by what comes to me when I work with this deck. And that's kind of like the only way that I can sum this deck up. It's, first of all, very well researched, very, you can tell, lovingly and beautifully created, which, as you all know, if you follow my reviews with Talula, that's very important to me. I like working with a deck where the author and the artist really have invested a lot of their passion and inspiration and their belief into the deck. And I love getting into decks where there's a real theme to them and you can really get into mythology and lore and archetype with them. And this is one of those decks. So for all intents and purposes, I should absolutely be in love with this deck. For some reason, I'm just not really in love with it. I enjoy it, but again, I do use the deck, and I really enjoy using it for daily. And for smaller spreads for myself. Not for larger tarot spreads, because like I said, sometimes the images, they're just a little bit too much for me. So if I did like a 10 or a 12 or a 15 card spread with this deck, I don't think I could get something clear. So I usually stick to 1 to 3 cards with this. I do not use this deck very often in reading for other clients. I did once on one occasion and did not have the greatest experience. So I haven't really felt drawn to work with this deck for others from that point. I feel like the deck, hold on just one second. So I feel like the deck really kind of pretty clearly let me know that this deck didn't want to work with other people with me, that it was just for my own personal use. And so I haven't, hold on, honey. I haven't since that occasion used the deck with other people, just for myself. And again, I do use the deck fairly frequently. As you all know, I have quite a few tarot decks, and this one gets pulled out and used quite often. So it's definitely a beneficial deck to have, especially if you're a collector and you enjoy decks that really follow a theme. But this isn't a deck that's on my list of essentials, I guess I would say. I have essential tarot decks. And I will be doing a video on that. Somebody asked me to do that, and like my all-time favorite tarot decks. So I will be doing that. But this deck doesn't make that list for me, even though I really appreciate the beauty of the deck itself. And I hope that's clear enough for you guys to understand. Because it's not that I have like a really bad reaction to this deck. I don't. It's actually a great deck. It's just, I just don't have that connection with it that I have with several of my tarot decks. And this deck just confuses me sometimes. It's not a very clear deck as far as answers go. I feel like the layers in the artwork, oh, and Vincent just ate the tower. Isn't that interesting? Anyhow, I feel like here, look, play with this. Look at that. Yeah, what's that? I don't even know what I was just saying. I just lost it because he ate the card and that cracked me up. He didn't really eat it. He just, slobbered on it. The way that 7-month-old teething babies will do. Yeah, it's just, I think the layering in this deck is just a bit confusing for me. And as you can tell from this review, I get confused by it. And you guys know when I have a confusing deck because I make crazy review videos for them, like this one is. And I just don't even try to re-record again like I would do previously because it just gets more and more confused the more I try to record it. So here's my confusing review of a very confusing deck, even though it is beautiful and worthy of collecting. And you may find that it is an amazing deck for you to work with, especially if you appreciate great artwork and themed decks. And so that the deck is, again, Ghosts and Spirits Tarot by Lisa Hunt. Great little white book. Wish that there could have been that she was, had been able to, or they had given the budget for an actual full volume, because I think that this is intriguing enough, and a full book would have been incredible. Also wish that the devil card was the devil card in this deck, but that's a personal opinion. So I hope you all have enjoyed this review. And Talula sends her love, even though she is napping right now. So she didn't want to wake herself up to come be part of the video like she typically does. But I will see you all in the next video, and we'll be reviewing a few more darker themed decks this week in honor of Samhain and Halloween. So many blessings to you all. See you in the next video. Bye.